Mm.
Okay. Okay. So before I start talking about what's actually on the screen, I'll just give you a little bit of, since you mentioned you haven't
Mhm.
really been exposed to the calendar.
Mhm.
So, just a little history. The Maya don't claim to have invented this. They claim it was given to them in the ancient, distant past by a white-skinned, white-haired, very tall person who arrived on their shores on a boat. So I like to think that's like after Atlantis or something fell.
Mhm.
And this person provided them with this system that we're going to talk about today, as well as agriculture, mathematics, astronomy, like all their sciences. And then, stayed with them for a time to get them all up and running on it, and then disappeared, and they say returned to the stars or something like that. So it's something that has been practiced and followed since before the written word. It's on stones and stuff. And as far back as at least 3113 BC, the count of days, Zolkeen is the name of the calendar we're talking about. And that translates as count of days. And it's something that's been actively followed uninterrupted throughout that whole time. Um, it's a myth that the Maya were disappeared. There's still 8 million Maya that identify as Maya living in Guatemala and Mexico and Central America. It's just that most of them don't practice this calendar anymore or follow it. But it has continued to be followed. It was just, you know, they moved it off into the highlands and stuff and protected it when the conquistadors came.
And do you think that those tribes are still functioning, and because like they do say they disappeared,
Right.
but do you think they're here in a different dimension?
I have no idea, honestly, like
Okay.
what happened to the society.
I think that's a possibility because like people can't even find our bakery on the main street. So that's what I'm saying. I think they're there.
Yeah,
They're just
yeah. I
not
mean,
there.
yeah. Who knows? Things that are beyond our ability to perceive.
Right.
We One of the first things on my website is just a meme that I found talking about how we can only perceive like less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum, and we can hear less than it's just the amount of information that's available that we can actually we can only have this tiny little slice.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's possible. Who knows, right? But the calendar, the Zolkeen calendar is the fundamental calendar for the Mayas. They have something like 30 different tracking systems that we call calendars that track all kinds of different cycles of time. But all of them come back to this base system, which is, as I mentioned earlier, 13 numbers and 20 sun signs. So 13 times 20 is 260.
Okay.
So it's a 260-day rotation.
Okay.
So it's
And
possible.
13 moons.
13 numbers is like,
Oh,
today's number five, tomorrow will be
okay.
six,
And it just repeats.
and then after the 13th day, it starts again at one.
Okay.
So for the Maya, their week is 13 days. It's not 7 days.
Okay.
But if you think about Genesis, it's 6 nights and 7 days, and that's 13.
Hmm.
So it's 13 periods, and they break it apart that the odd number, and this is actually maybe a New Age perspective on it. I don't know for sure, but um, that the odd numbered days are days of light and inspiration, and the even numbered days are days of integration and darkness. So it's like light, dark, which is what Genesis is talking about. And it's the again, this might be a more new age way of describing it, but it's the 13 intentions for creation, why creation is doing what it's doing. And each of the numbers represents a different part of the intention of what creation is doing. And the 20 sun signs can be thought of as like the aspects of creation, the
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 frac.
the way that creation does its intentions.
Mm-hmm.
So like personalities or something like that.
But how did they come up with the 13 and 20, the numbers themselves? Where did
It
that come from?
it was given to them by this being that brought this to them in the ancient past. Yeah, they don't claim to have invented it.
But 260 days does not coincide with 365 days of
Correct.
rotation. How did they
Right. So
account for that?
there is nothing that orbits in 260 days. There is nothing that we can say is a physical thing that is a 260-day thing. So it's an energetic tracking system. It's not a physical tracking system. But what as I was going to get into essentially, is that this idea, this philosophy, is that it is a system for joining what they refer to as the heart of the sky to the heart of the earth to the human heart, and that the three create an understanding and a discernment of these energetic cycles. And so you can look at like 5 rotations of Venus around the sun is divisible by 260. And something like 10 orbits of Mars is divisible by 260, and some number of orbits of Jupiter. Everything is divisible by 260 if you go out far enough. And the
So
number
there
of
is some kind of mathematical
yeah,
relation.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And eclipse cycles too. There's like everything that they tracked somehow. That's why they maybe had such large numbers that they were looking at, because it's at some point you can divide it by 260. And then that's the heart of the sky connection, essentially. The heart of the earth connection, an example of that is in Guatemala at 15 degrees north latitude. They have the solar zenith happens on April 30th and August 12th. And the solar zenith is when the sun's directly overhead and doesn't create a shadow.
Yeah.
So they can get 2 harvests of corn in one growing season. If they plant their corn on April 30th, they can grow the corn and harvest it and get another crop in the ground before August 12th. And then they can get 2 harvests in one season. And there are 260 days between August 12th and April 30th. So that's an example of how it works in nature. In the human heart, the gestation period of the human being is approximately 260 days plus 1 extra 13-day period, 273 days. So the Maya midwives back in the day would, the king or the queen or whoever would come to the Mayan midwives for, to ask when is the best day to conceive so that our child will be born on X, Y, or Z day that will be the perfect day to create the ruler of the next generation, that kind of thing. So they would time their births as much as possible based on this system. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, to offer some about 13. So Jesus and the 12 disciples create 13. And what that basically is representing is you have your enlightened self, which is the one, and the 12 disciples are your 12 fractals. And you can look at them as 12 different parts of you living in 12 different dimensions. But essentially what we're here to do is embody all 13. So 13 is just an auspicious number, but in society people have made it a negative number, like you have Friday the 13th, or hotels don't put 13 floors because they're trying to like condition us out of the remembering of what 13 actually is.
Right. And that tracks with the Mayan understanding of the number 13 is the number of ascension, it's the number of spirit, it's the number of the ancestors. Do you guys know who Mitch Hedberg was? Comedian. He's like, people on the 14th floor, you know what floor you're really on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, it was an intentionally removed from culture and then demonized, definitely. And it's, related to Ophiuchus being the 13th constellation. There's quite a bit of evidence when you look into Ophiuchus that Ophiuchus was actually originally a female energy, not a male, like a serpent. It's the female heart of the serpent, representing the divine feminine. So yeah.
Also, there's 13 moons
Right.
in our calendar year.
Yeah.
So I don't know in Mayan if it would be how many moons they have in 260 days.
Yeah, well, they have a 365-day calendar. They have a 360-day calendar.
Oh.
They, and their 365-day calendar is more accurate than ours. They don't have a leap year. They just, So yeah, and it's like when you turn 42, your Mayan birthday, which is 6 Toj, in your example, 6 offering, aligns with your Gregorian birthday. It takes 42 years of 260-day cycles against the 365 and a quarter day cycle before they line up again. So when you're 42 and 84 and whatever that is after that, it lines up again. So yeah, they didn't consider their 365-day calendar to be particularly important. It was only really used to track, things like taxes and things related to living in society. Their 360-day calendar is the one they used for all their prophecies and all their predictions and stuff like that. And it's fundamentally based on the 260-day system. So that's a little background on that. Having nothing to do per se with the Mayan system, I align strongly with the concept of naming. It's like a big part of my own personal journey. So I'm adding that into the beginning, just in case you don't know what your name means. Um, it's just, it seems to be that the names we are given have a very strong resonance with who we end up being. The Mayan philosophy was that they would walk around introducing themselves as, "Hi, I'm Six Toj Gabrielle." It's their
Oh,
name.
they would use it as their name.
It's their not their given name. It's their assigned,
Yeah.
energy. And it was so fundamental and important to them that they would introduce themselves that way so that everyone knew
Okay.
what they're there to do, what their frequency is.
Interesting.
The Maya philosophy is that we choose the day, we incarnate, and so we pick whatever of the 260 potential combinations because it is the one that best represents the script that we're here to play out. And in that way, they align with a divine plan. They believe in fate, not free will. So it's something that, you essentially write a script and then you're like, okay, which of these energies is the one that, okay, six talk, it's the one for me in this lifetime for you. So I'm going to go through two aspects of this reading. The first is what's called the static aspect, the one that doesn't change throughout your whole life. And then we'll get into your tree of life, which is this part. And that's the dynamic aspect. And there's other combinations of energies that come into play at different periods of time in your life. The way my teacher refers to it is that the static information is like the white light of a giant theater light that shines a spotlight on the stage, and that's always a white light. It never changes. But if they want to make the light on the stage appear a different color, they put a little filter in front of the light so that the light turns red or green or blue or whatever on the stage. That's what these other energies are
Like
supporting.
nuances.
Supporting
Yeah,
energies
okay.
there to help you do what it is you're here to do.
Okay.
And they come into play, as you'll see, in different phases of your life.
Okay.
So to begin with, six talk, okay? Six, and I'm going to talk about possibly all of the numbers, but the one that is, the one that's most significant for your story is the number six. So the number six is the number of family. It's the number of ultimate stability. And why is it ultimate stability? In their philosophy, four is the number of stability. It's the cube is the most stable geometric form. It's all things physical reality based in terms of what the number four represents. And you can think of it as like, the four directions or the four stations of the sun each day: sunrise, noon, sunset, midnight, the solstices and the equinoxes, the four compass points, like everything related to the physical reality. But that's the physical reality. The six adds in the Z axis, the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth, bringing in the spiritual dimension of life that creates that total ultimate stability in the realm. And that's why it's known as the number of family, because you can't have a stable family without spirit.
And earth.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they break it apart as the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth, but it's really one energy, right? It's just expressed in different ways. Yeah, the Halabon. I love that. They talk about that related to a different sun sign.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. And so Toch translates as offering or payment. It's thought of as a very challenging sun sign to carry because it's all about karmic debts, potentially from other lifetimes, but certainly in this lifetime, it's about recognizing that everything we do has a cost to it. And so it's thought of as a difficult sun sign because if you're not aware of that and you don't address that and constantly come back to your gratitude, constantly remember as much as possible that this thing that's happening, however great it might be, has an equal and opposite aspect to it. And so if we don't come back to our humility and say thank you, then it can be a very challenging lifetime. It can be very challenging experiences that come because
you're learning.
It's not because you're being punished, right? It's just that this is the reality of the duality we exist in. I feel very wired because I'd had coffee before I had my coffee with you guys. So plus I get really excited about talking like this about this stuff. So it's a sun sign of service. And again, some people don't necessarily understand that about themselves. And so it's like a potential way to build resentment about things that happen in your life. If you don't really understand that this lifetime is about service, then you can bang against the rocks, as it were. So it's something to be very aware of, but it's perhaps one of the most beneficial sun signs to carry because of that aspect of what happens when we serve, the benefits that come from self-sacrifice, the benefits that come from taking the opportunity to help others and to allow others to help you. The Toj sun sign, it looks like a drop of water or a drop of blood. The way that the sign looks, it's like a circle with like ripples around it with a dot in the center. And you could think of it as the payment that women make each month with their period, the sacrifice of the blood that allows you to birth children. So it's very connected to water. It's also very connected to fire. The god, I think it's an Aztec god, not a Mayan god, because the Aztecs use this system too, but they changed things around and interpreted it differently. But the Aztec god that represents this sun sign is said to be the god that gave humanity fire, which I think is Prometheus in the Greek. And so there's a payment that comes as a result of, like, in the Greek myth, Prometheus is doomed to live chained to a rock and has his gut beaten every day by a giant eagle, and then
repeats it.
Yeah. So one of the practices that people who carry the Toj sun sign actively participate in is lighting a candle as much as possible, especially at home, if you have an altar at home, to show your gratitude to the fire. And you'll find that your intuition and your abilities can turn on and get more heightened when you're around bodies of water or when you are in the water.
We have a spa that I basically live in.
Right on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
any kind of healing that happens in that spa.
Right on.
Everything.
So yeah, I mean, and this is one of the things that I love about this particular philosophy, is that for me, it's so apparent that whether someone knows and aligns with their energy or doesn't know, it's happening through them anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's very kind of like astrology and most of the other divination arts. It's something that's just more like, oh, that's why I'm that way. Yeah, that kind of thing.
I always have a candle lit or an incense going. Yeah.
And that's, you might be able to look back on periods of your life when you didn't practice those things and see that things were more challenging, potentially, something like that.
Totally. See, Bubby, that's why I have that going all the time.
So, as I was mentioning earlier, the 13-day period that you're born under, the day that is the sun sign that's connected to the number 1 during the 13-day period that you're born in. The 13-day period is called the Trecena. Trecena just means 13, or 13 days. That 13-day period is ruled, if you will, by that energy of the sun sign that it's attached to. So during the Trecena you're born under is the Trecena of Cat. So your day is the 6th day of that 13-day period. And the first day was the day 1 Cat, is the day 1 Cat. And Cat translates as net. And you can think about that as like the net that people carry harvests from the field to the market. They put everything in their net and then they put it around their head, or they'll just hold it like that. And it represents our ability to carry our abundance and to bring our abundance. And it's the energy of, it's like each of these has a positive and negative, or a light and dark way of looking at it. And the thing about the net is that, it's really important to know what you're carrying, and to constantly be aware that what is appropriate to be carrying at this time and what's not. And a lot of times we discover something that we want to put in our net that's incredibly valuable to us for a time, but then we keep holding on to it and holding on to it, and it's going to take up space, and you can only have so much space, and you got to know when it's time to appropriate to move stuff out of the net and to put new things in. Because if you just, first of all, if you carry more and more and more, you eventually won't be able to move. It's too heavy. And if you don't free up space in your net, then you won't be open to new things coming in.
The moment that I let go of all the people from the journey that got me even here, Idyllwild came in within like a week.
Right on.
So I see that.
Yeah.
Within a week, what?
Like when Aisha and all that crew left and the nonprofit, that's when Idyllwild came in.
Oh.
So I hear you, like letting go of the things, even though that you love,
Right.
but it's just because the time has passed with them.
It's just unrelated, but there's a book that I read back in 2018 called The Heart of the Shaman, written by a South American shaman, and he talks about that we're here to live a sacred dream, and everything that we experience is part of that sacred dream. It's a separate individual dream that is there to serve a purpose for our sacred dream, that is our lifelong dream. And everything is transient along that path. Very few things stay with us our whole life. And so when we have something that is part of our sacred dream and it's supporting our sacred dream, and we don't recognize when it's time for that to let go of that part, then it becomes a nightmare.
Mhm.
So it's a really important process. And
Yeah.
the net is that's the sun sign that's what that's all about, essentially. The Tracena that you're born in is said to be what drives you emotionally. So this idea of, give and take and all that is kind of like where your emotions are coming from is based through that
Mhm.
energy. Your sun sign, your combination of six talk is like your intellectual drive. It could be thought of as your zodiac sign, and your Tracena could be thought of as your moon,
Mhm.
where your moon is. Your year lord. So because of the way 260 goes into 365, every year there is a new energy that is said to be the carrier of the year. The way the Tracena is ruled by the day that's connected to the number one on that 13-day period, whatever on the Mayan New Year day, which moves backwards in time because of that 365 and a quarter thing. It's because of the way 260 goes into 365. Every year it's a different number, and it just goes in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then starts again in terms of each year. Right now we're in a 1 year. Well, actually, we're in a 13 year. Next year will be a 1 year, and it's now in February 20th, February 19th is when the new year is.
Right.
But when we were born in the mid 70s, it was in March somewhere the new year happened.
Okay.
So it's been
like a
moving backwards in
procession. I
time.
see
Yeah.
what you're saying. Or actually, not a procession. I don't know what the word would
I
be.
think it is precession.
Is it?
It's going backwards, right? Like
Okay.
the precession of the
Yeah.
equinoxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but because of
Okay.
that mathematical alignment of 260 and 365, there's only 4 of the 20 sun signs that are year bearers. So it's
Oh.
the year you were born, 1975, it was 2 and translates as road, and it represents the road we walk, the road of life, the spiritual road. It's the energy of the adventurer. It's the energy of the wanderer. It's a very unpredictable energy in terms of you'll be doing whatever you're doing, and then all of a sudden you're like, I need to go over here now. Now I need to go over there. And it doesn't really make sense while it's happening. But when you look back, you can see that it all created a path.
Mhm.
The year lord is said to be your instinctual drive. So I could think of that as like your ascendant in the zodiac. The number 2 is about duality. It's about the polarity it's that we're existing in. It's the number of relationships. It's said to be the number of lovers. So it has everything to do with those aspects of the road as it's attached to the road sun sign. Being able to see both sides of the road, as it were, to be able to explore the extremes of both sides of the road. Since your number 6 is larger than your number 2, the year lord is something that's more subtle for you. It's not something that's really pushing you the way that, because your number 6 is higher energetically than 2, but it is there and it has an influence, and it's something that needs to be, considered when you're making your decisions, because it's what drives you instinctually versus
Like
emotional.
seeing both, like in the case of polarity, seeing both and finding a common ground with them and on a centered road.
Ideally,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
certainly having the instinct to be like, okay, this is the path, but what else? What's the
Yeah.
opposite path maybe, or what other paths are there? But like, yeah, to kind of try to hopefully
I think
find the
like
best road.
the perfect example is what we're going through right now with the bakery. Like following the road that opens up, but also seeing like, oh, another timeline opened up. So now I can consider that one. And which one, we did this the other day, which one feels better in my heart?
And I like that you mentioned your heart, because the instinct is, to me, that's the heart signal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think of we have 3 intelligences in our body. We have the heart that knows, as I mentioned earlier, the mind that questions or thinks, and the gut that feels. And a lot of people think that you can just trust your gut implicitly,
Mm.
but I don't agree with that. I think you can trust your heart, and your heart knows instantaneously,
Mhm.
always. And then your mind and your gut start to be like, well, yeah, but I don't know if I feel, and,
Yeah.
and it gets confusing
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes it's just a line. You're like, okay, this is it. And you're instant. But if you just follow your heart,
Yeah.
no matter what the consequences
Yeah.
are, that's the real true path.
And that's honestly like with this, because it is beyond us. It's like we have to follow the heart every time, because this isn't even, we're just like the vessels that this is moving through. And if we follow that and we don't get caught up in drama, then we'll know where we're supposed to be. Yeah. Okay, I see
So
that.
yeah, so this is, as I mentioned, the tree of life that we're going to talk about next is the dynamic aspect. It's and sixth talk is part of that dynamic, but it's also always there in the background, in the foreground. It's always the primary signal that you're resonating at.
Okay.
It's just that these other energies are there to support you, and they might be slightly more influential than your base energy at a particular moment in your life. But you're always filtering everything ultimately through sixth talk.
Which is the, like, I'm seeing this as like, well, essentially it could be the cross, it could be a sphere, but it's like always in the hollow bone, but grounded
Mhm.
in this reality.
Yeah.
And then is this image here, does that mean something?
That's the graphical representation of the talk sun sign.
Interesting.
That's the way it's carved on rocks.
And do you know what it symbolizes?
That, that's up for interpretation,
Okay.
but like I was saying earlier, it most people interpret it as a drop of water.
Oh, this is that image. Okay.
Yeah. And this is interesting to me because a lot of other artistic versions, there's not two like that. There's just one in the center,
center.
and then there's a circle around it. But this is the one that's, as close as you can get to what's actually carved on the rocks.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So in a nutshell, that's the static energy. That's what will always govern everything fundamentally inside of you and through these different aspects, intellectual, emotional, and instinctual.
Okay. I mean, it definitely resonates as, but I have to say it resonates because I would say since I had my awakening, it resonates.
Mhm.
Obviously before that, would I have felt this? Probably not.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. So this a little bigger. Okay. So what you're looking at here, the reason this is in blue is because this is what they refer to as the Mayan cross. And the reason it's usually 9, but because you're approaching 52, I added the fourth line because this is representative of what's coming next, essentially.
Okay.
For old people.
Yeah.
It says elder right there.
Yeah. Well, and
Keeping an elder.
in the Mayan perspective, when you reach the age of 52, you are considered an elder.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, as I mentioned, there's the 4 year lords, the sun signs that are the 4,
Uh-huh.
and it's combined with one of the 13 numbers. And so 4 times 13 is 52.
Okay.
So you have to live through all 52 year lords and experience all of the different possible combinations of 260 days within that 52 years of different year lords to have the full experience of the human life. And then you can actually begin to share
Yeah.
and be an elder, essentially.
Okay.
And so essentially what you're looking at here is you can see the 6 talks in the middle here and of the cross. And it says left hand power on the right hand column because it's kind of like stage left. Like you're standing here as if you're on a 2-dimensional board looking into the future this direction. So your eldership is down this way, and your birth, your childhood is up at the top. So it's stage left, stage right.
Okay.
The top row is what's referred to as your conception energy. It's the energy that was present from the moment of conception until the age 26.
Okay.
And it's at its peak influence at conception, and then it slowly wanes until you hit 26. This is your adult energy line or row, and that starts at conception at its lowest point and then peaks at the age of 26 and has finished its energy run as it were at 52.
Oh, okay.
However, as I mentioned, it's always the one that's who
there.
you are,
Yeah.
even though it has its time
Right.
to be at its peak influence. The elder energy begins at the age 26, peaks at
Oh.
52, and is finished at 78.
Okay.
And then what we're calling the
Future elder.
future elder starts at 52, peaks at 78, and ends at 104. That's what this graph represents. This is a graphical representation of what I just described. So
Okay.
the conception energy is 11 Imash. Okay, and I'll tell you what that means later. But 11 is obviously a strong number, high number. So it's why it's way up here, and that's at the moment of conception, and then it slowly falls off until 26. This is the 6th Toj line, peaks at 26, falls off 52.
Okay.
This is your elder energy, and it's the number 1, so that's why it graphically is
This is-
represented
yeah.
as like a
Yeah.
small number. You see these numbers in between represent ages at which there's a crossover point
Oh, where you're representing both equally.
where it's like a handoff, like a
Uh-huh.
baton
Yeah.
handoff, right? Like where 11 Imash has now done its most significant part of its purpose, and now 6 Talk is taking the baton to, and and then when you reached 42 and a half, there was
That's when I woke up. Right
that's
around
when
there.
that's
Yeah.
when that handoff happened from your adult energy to your elder energy.
Yeah.
And then when you reach 61, it'll happen
Again.
again.
Okay.
So you just
We still
mentioned
got some time.
what's that?
We still got some time to 61.
So, as you think about your life and you
Yeah.
look at these numbers, these ages, and these are the ages right here in
I
between,
see.
that there's that handoff point at 14.
Yeah.
For your left and right hand power, it's 11 and 40 and 67 and 67 and a half respectively. And that's just a extrapolation that my teacher came up with based on all his readings. And he was doing these readings, and he wasn't offering these ages or really thinking about that, but he was just explaining these things to people, and people were just like, wow, it's really interesting because around this age, blah, blah, blah. And then he started to actually see that pattern. And so he had this guy, I forget the guy's name.
Florian
Yeah.
Chantil.
That's the guy that made up this, did the actual programming to come up with these graphs.
Okay.
But it seems to be very consistent that there's
That is
age
interesting
shifts.
because I'm pretty sure, and I need to go back. I woke up exactly. I know that it was a trip to Istanbul, so I know exactly when it was, and right around 42 and a half.
Right on.
So
Well, and that's interesting that you say that, because, and that's when you moved from your adult to your elder in terms of
Energy.
influence.
Yeah.
For me, since my number is the number 2, the ages are different
Right.
based on the numbers, but for me,
Did
it
it-
was 35 and a half, and that's when I started my awakening journey.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was where the baton handoff was.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Now, it's not everyone wakes up at that age, per
No,
se.
no,
It
but
might
for you,
happen.
it was
But
that
for me, it was definitely right in that time.
interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, you might be able to look back and see like, oh, when I was 14, X, Y, or Z happened, and that's representative of that shift.
So another shift would be coming around age 61.
Right. So the next shifting you're going to go through is first it'll be your center line, which represents, your the left hand side represents your feminine side, your intuitive and artistic side. It's your relationships with women. It's what you have the opportunity to bring out of women, and what women have the opportunity to bring out of you. It's the internal experience. The right hand power is your masculine side, everything that happens in your physical reality, your relationships with men, what men have the opportunity to bring out of you and what you bring out of them, that kind of thing. So first we're going to talk about your conception energy, and then we're going to go down your left hand side, and then we'll come down your right hand side.
Okay.
And like I said, I added this last line here, but it's mostly just so you know where you're going. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's the 5 in the middle here that are, the most important, significant. They're the things, because these are your adult energies. This is your right and left hand powers of your adult are the ones that are really like your 6th Talk. It's always who you are. It's always how you do things, feminine and masculine. And then these are kind of there to support that.
Okay.
So 11 is a lot like what we talked about related to the road. 11 is a very high energy number. There's only 2 more after that, right? And it is representative of what I like to say is divine movement versus like ego movement, where ego movement is like very linear and kind of like, I'm going this way, and then I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to go that way. 11 is more of like a dynamic movement. It's going in all these different directions, and you don't know where it's going next, and there's really no way for the ego to predict it. But the ego can always see it after the fact and be like, oh, okay. I was over here because I needed this little piece of the puzzle, and then I went over here and got this piece, and it didn't make any sense why I was there, and this didn't have any seemingly connection with that. But after all the pieces were collected, then the puzzle comes into focus. So it's a number of extreme energy. My teacher likes to refer to it as a bottle rocket with a stick broken off. Got all the force of the rocket, but it's got no direction, seemingly no direction. But I think of it as divine direction. It's the way that spirit moves. And I think of it also as like a feminine, the archetype of masculine thought is very directional, and the archetype of feminine thought is very net-like, very lateral and kind of connects everything together. Imash is the first sun sign, and it's representative of the collective consciousness. In the Mayan creation, the world plane is supported by 4 pillars resting on the back of a giant turtle or a giant crocodile. And so it translates as crocodile. Imash.
Okay.
Yeah, it translates as crocodile. And it just represents everything that was before creation began, all the possible things that could be before there's actually anything. So it's the collective consciousness, it's the world of the dreams. It can be very challenging to hold that energy because you can get lost in other people's thoughts, let's say, and it's hard to discern, is this me or is this somebody else, kind of thing. Connected with the 11, I can imagine that would be a very challenging combination because it's like all possible potentials going in all these different seemingly unrelated directions, and it's just sort of like I'm having all these experiences of what could be. And that's being that the 11 is such a high number, it's potentially could be thought of as less about your actual experiences as a child and more about what you brought into this life from previous lives or something like that, something related more to your ancestors than your actual childhood. But it could just also be that your childhood was like that. It was just like all this stuff happening in different ways that seemed all kind of chaotic potentially, or not really about you so much and more about others. Something like that is a way to think about that. And then when you hit 14 is when it shifted and became more stable. And I like to look at that evolution of the numbers, 11 being all over the place, 6 being ultimate stability. So I like the analogy of, you go out on a ship in the ocean and you hit a storm and you're just like tossed about and you're thrown up and you're just all over the place. But that is what gives you your sea legs. So the next time you go out on the ocean in a storm, you can stay good.
Yeah.
Even though everything's going crazy.
Right.
So you got to have that kind of crazy all over the place experience to have ultimate stability.
Yeah.
Or the way you talked about it before related to 2, you got to be able to go to the extremes to know where the center is.
I mean, yeah, I was born in or conceptualized into an abusive situation. My father was physically abusive while my mother was pregnant with me. And I've done a past life regression where I felt that. And I like, there's no other way to describe it than ultimate chaos, because the way she was feeling with me there,
Well, and that to me, is very representative of Imash being before creation, before birth, as it were, before the Big Bang, when all things are possible and you're in the womb.
Yeah.
It's actually referred to as the womb of creation.
Do you know Elaine? Have you met Elaine yet? Oh, you're gonna really get along with her. She's one that holds the mushroom ceremonies up here.
Okay.
And she described me as like she's like, you're like this. And I just did a session with her, a healing session, where I went back to that point and found the piece of that chaos, which was to be grateful for my father for it. Because ultimately, like you said, it gave me the stability to know who I am because of it.
Right.
So this all just came together a few weeks ago.
Divine timing.
Yeah.
Imash is representative of bodies of water, the biggest being the ocean. It's lakes and still bodies, not flowing rivers and streams and stuff. It's big bodies of water. What else can I say about it?
There's this story about the turtle and like the world being created from the turtle's back, which that's what when you first said turtle, but then you said crocodile. But
well, I'm not sure actually if it's a turtle or a crocodile that the Maya actually represent. It's a reptile, definitely. So I think maybe it's more of a new age interpretation to call it crocodile, perhaps, but I'm not sure. So, okay, so now we'll come over and talk about your childhood left-hand power. Now, being that it's your childhood and it's your feminine side, this could represent your relationship with your mom specifically, or any of the ancestors on her side,
Okay.
the female
My
line,
grandmother.
going back, your
Yeah.
grandmother and
Yeah.
previous or other relatives on her side. I think I mentioned already that 4 is considered the number of stability. It has everything to do with the physical realm. It can be kind of like inside the box a little bit. And so that's one of the aspects of 4 that needs to be considered, is that it can be, you can look at it and kind of be like, it's kind of just a little boring. I want something more exciting. But it's all about stability and about understanding how to function in this seemingly stable realm that we're in.
Yeah.
Kech is the energy that translates as deer or horse, and it's representative of in the Mayan archetype, or not archetype, in the Mayan village, it's the elder that is the priest versus the shaman. The priest is the one standing up saying, hey, this is
How
the
it is.
message
Yeah.
that I'm here to share with you, giving the sermon. The glyph, the sun sign, is represented by a human hand reaching up and grabbing a divine spark. So it's like they can go and connect and pull it down to the earth to share it. In the progression of the sun signs, deer is followed by canil, which translates as yellowing, but it's also representative of the star. And then the next sun sign is yours, offering. So it's like they reach up and grab that star, bring it to earth, understand it, and then offer it. In the Mayan village, someone will go to an elder and say, hey, I've got this issue that I have, I don't really understand what to do about it. And often the elder will tell them, okay, cool, I'm going to go ask the mountain, or I'm going to go ask the trees or whatever. And what they mean is they're going to go take a walk out in nature and discern the messages of the natural world that will send them the message for how to answer that person's question. So it's the deer or the horse, because the deer, and it's not like, fragile deer Bambi or kind of thing. It's like the stag that's like the guardian of the forest, the guardian of the natural world, the guardian of the wilderness. It's a very, very strong, one of the most masculine of the sun signs. So it's interesting that it's on your feminine side.
My mom is so in her masculine. And she creates structure. Like, she was the person that saved me from all of this stuff.
Right on.
Yeah.
It can be very aggressive. It can be very dominant. Women that carry that, and then not necessarily that your mom carries that, it's just how you relate to her.
Totally.
It might be that she carries that sun sign. We'd have to look up her birthday.
Right.
But
what our relationship is, and it
the
is
role model that she's playing for you.
She had to be that father figure for me, and everything.
Yeah. So that's one of the the considerations of that energy, is that it can be a bit overbearing sometimes because of how sure of itself it is. When you reached 11, you shifted from 4 Kech into 12 Zkin. 12 being the second to last number represents completion. It represents understanding the whole picture. It's like the autobiography energy. I think about it like when we learn something new, at some point we get it and we have like this, and that moment of is 13. It's that grace that's being bestowed upon us, but we have to do all the work to get there. So that's the moment of is right before that. We get to 12 and we get like, okay, I got all I need to get the idea or the concept, and then
you
get it.
Okay.
It's a very strong energy, 12 being the second to last number. It's the last of the physical numbers, being 13 being about the other realm. That was crazy that we just heard that sound like an eagle.
Oh yeah.
Zakin translates as eagle or bird. It's the Quetzal bird, the eagle.
The condor in spirit.
Yeah. It's the energy of the visionary, because the idea is that the bird is up high. It can see.
My goodness, who's this fairy? Of course we are.
We had originally planned to do this behind the bakery.
Mr. Coyote.
And then I was like, where should we go? And they're like, the nature center. I was like, that's where we did it.
This is Abby's first Sunday off.
Congratulations.
How's it going?
Hello.
I was hoping we would see you. And your cheeks match your skirt.
Yeah.
Are you guys hiking? Or did you just hike?
just finished.
You want to sit with us? Okay. You want some drink? It is yours. You brought it for.
Okay, so the visionary, being that the bird's up high and can see the road ahead, can see that's where I'm headed. So it's the ability to know kind of what's coming in the future. So combined with the number 12, it's like understanding the vision is a way of thinking about that.
And it's in my feminine receiving area.
It's your left hand, and as I mentioned, it's your adult left hand power. So it's the primary intuitive kind of artistic feminine aspect of your life path. It's the relationship you have with women specifically, and the conversations you have with women allow you that understanding the vision for yourself or possibly to help others get that. The thing about being up high and being able to see really far, the shadow of that, if you will, is it's easily distracted. You're up there and you're like,
can I help that one? Can I see that one? Yeah,
totally. So it's something to be, conscious of is that
that's I told you my questions.
Right.
Like, wait, who did you meet, Abby? And what about this? And tell me about that.
Right.
And she's like, I didn't go that deep.
Right. So you can get off topic potentially, but
lost in the sauce.
With the 12, I would say it's kind of tempered a little bit. And that might not be the right way of looking at it, but it just in terms of understanding the vision, I would say that if you're understanding it, then it's less likely that you're being distracted because you've got the whole picture, potentially. When you hit 40, you moved into 7 Akaba. 7 is the middle point. If you put the numbers on a step pyramid, then 7's the top of the pyramid.
Like that.
Yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? And so it's the number that's representative of death, physical death and endings. Because if your goal is to get to the top of that pyramid over there or the top of that mountain over there, once you get there, your journey's over. But it's the moment when you can see all the options for the best choices for the next journey. So it's not the finish of the journey. You still got 8 through 13 to go. But in terms of the physical aspect of life, it's the end of the physical journey and it's the beginning of the spiritual side of
totally. Yeah. And that happened around 40.
Right.
Yeah.
On your feminine side.
Yeah.
It's also a number that represents indecision because if you're up there and you can see all the best options, which one do you pick? And it's like, so the point is to just pick one because it doesn't really matter which one you pick. They're all the best options. So it's just a question of like, go, move, don't stay there in that 7 space, let it go and move on.
Okay.
Akabal translates as twilight. It's the time before sunrise when it's no longer dark. There's a little bit of light in the sky and a little more and a little more. All that time between total darkness and the sun actually breaching the horizon. And it's also the time after the sun sets before total darkness. What that's representative of is the new idea coming in.
The liminal space.
Yeah.
The void.
Yeah. The time when the idea has come to you, but it's not manifest yet. So it's just like a kind of like inspiration time kind of thing. At the other side of the day, it's also the time of the new idea, but maybe representative to the dark side versus the light side of the idea. So it can be thought of in either aspect.
Okay.
So 7 Akabal could represent, the end of the new idea, perhaps the very last moment before the sunrise, or the very last moment before there's no more light in the sky. And so that could be a potentially really exciting time. So to me, it's representative of the need for a lot of patience because you're right there,
right?
But it's not time yet. But I'm
And
right there.
It's also where the dreams come. Because like to me, when I think the liminal space, it's like where birth happens. It's like it's right there, but you have to still pull it through.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
And they say that the best time to meditate is between 4 and 6 in the morning. During that's essentially that time. So yeah. And then when you reach 67.5, you'll move into 2 bats. 2, as we talked about already, because it's your year lord number, it's about the polarity, the duality. And bats translates as monkey, but there are 2 sun signs that are thought of as the genius energies. The bat's energy is thought of as the creative genius, and your elder energy, Noch, is the intellectual genius energy. So they say bats represents the ability to create in all aspects, including the ability to actually weave time together in the most fundamental level. My teacher talks about down in Guatemala. He lives down there. He's a British guy, but lives down in Guatemala, and they have backstrap looms when they're creating a quilt or something. The backstrap loom. The first thing they do is they put up the vertical threads, and that's akabal. That's the concept. And then bats is the horizontal threads that creates the actual blanket, and then the sun sign that finishes that, which is in your distant future, is Kawak, or the storm, the midwife. It's like the birth of that idea.
Wow.
So that creative ability to make the actual picture is what's coming through for you, coming up on your feminine side when you get to 67 and a half. It's already taking place starting at 52.
Right.
So a couple of years from now. And thinking about that as it relates to two, you could think about it as it relates to relationships, romantic in particular, but also just all relationships. That your creative ability in relationships, your creative ability with duality, with extremes, that kind of thing.
Like weaving in the extremes to create a new unity consciousness.
I like that.
That's what I see.
Right on. Okay, so now jumping back up to the top on your right hand side again, this is your masculine side, and in the position of the childhood conception energy, it's your relationship with your dad potentially, or your granddad, or your masculine ancestors. 5 is the number of work. The 5 digits on our hand is what we use to do our work with. Being that it's the number of work, it can often be described as hard work specifically. As you'll notice, it's connected with that Sakine energy.
Where's it?
There, you've already
we've talked about that.
And you'll notice that it repeats. It's like you get the physical experiences of the sun sign earlier in your life, and then you understand it intuitively and can potentially work with it inside of yourself because of the experiences you had.
Right.
So really hard work as a child, potentially interacting with your father.
Where this is, where I understand the energy, but I'm looking at it from a bigger perspective right before the grace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And having to do that hard work with it gives you that ability potentially later, right? 5, it has an aspect of sort of wanting to rush into things because it's being pulled forward by that 13 that's coming later. So it's like the 5 can be very impatient and can just be, oh, let's go, I got it, I want to go, versus like, okay, let's figure this out. And that can also be an aspect of why it's hard work in particular. So working with the vision is one way of thinking about that in relation to your dad or your masculine, can also be childhood friends that you had, that it was.
Because it's on the masculine side, would that also represent Richard?
Not yet. I would say because it's in your childhood, it represented the experiences that you needed to have so that you'd be ready later in life.
Okay.
But it's done in terms of its influence when you turn 26.
Okay.
And it was at 11, just like on your feminine side, but as the time when it became less important or less influential. And that's when 13 Akabal came in. 13 being the number of spirit, the number of ascension, the number of ancestors, connected with, as we talked about Akabal already, the new vision, the new idea. And so the experiences you're having when you interact with men in particular, but also really it's everything related to your physical side, your physical reality. So it's not just your interactions with men, it's women too. Excuse me. It also represents your work in particular in life. So the new ideas related to the spirit, related to the ancestors, what the ancestors are wanting you to bring forward is influenced in that energy of Akabal coming in with that 13.
Like birthing from grace, essentially. Because when you said 13 is the knowing. The deep. Okay.
It's like, I like to think of 13 as representative of, if you know the story of the Buddha, he's a male, he's a human being called Siddhartha, and he goes through his journey. And when he reaches that moment of enlightenment, he just turns into light. He no longer has a physical body. So it's that transformation that takes place as a result of that whole journey. When you reach 40, you moved into 8 bats. So 8 being the number right after 7, it's the 1 and the 7 together. The 1, which we haven't talked about yet, is the beginning. It's the seed. It's the potential for all possible things, but it hasn't happened yet. It's just the idea. So it's the beginning or the birth combined with the death.
Mhm.
And so the 8-day in the Mayan perspective is the day of ceremony. It's the day of the wholeness
Mhm.
of the entire experience connected with whatever sun sign it is connected to. So
It's literally the shedding of the skin to receive a new experience.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's connected to that monkey energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that came online for you at 26, but it moved into its more influential part of your story at 40, and it also peaks at 52 along with your eldership energy. And so that is the ability to understand the wholeness of the creative process and all aspects of it. And, the like you said, the shedding of the skin for the new
Yeah.
part of it to come through
Yeah.
related to that genius creative energy.
Okay.
At 67, you move into 3 Kawak. Kawak, as I mentioned earlier, storm, translates to storm, and it's the energy of the midwife. It's the second to last sun sign.
Okay.
So it's like the
12.
storm that washes away all that no longer serves so that the ascension can take place. The final sun sign is Achpu, and that translates as many different things, but it's essentially the sun. It's the
Yeah.
Jesus ascending to
Yeah.
heaven archetype.
Yeah.
It's the Buddha
Okay.
becoming the Buddha archetype, that kind of thing.
Can you say Jesus? Jesus again.
Jesus?
Because remember last
Tell me.
summer, the picture of you being Jesus
Oh.
and Richard's Jesus jokes.
Yeah.
It's written in
It's-
stars. Bubbies.
Bubbies, I am Jesus. Reincarnated. As we all are, but I just remember.
That's funny.
We had this mushroom trip out in nature, and I don't know what happened, but I was like, girls, this is gonna get real public. And I like stood on this hill and I had this white flowing dress and I just stood there as all these hikers are walking by. This baby starts screaming. The birds are like going in a vortex. Like it was this whole lot. And she got a Polaroid. She captured it.
Capture the moment.
I love it. That's awesome.
And Richard's like, wait, what are you guys doing out in public?
That's funny.
What can we do? We don't know when it's gonna hit. And then I did this one session where Jesus came in through rainbows and I captured it too. I'm gonna send it to you so you can see.
Right on.
Okay.
Right on. So yeah.
So that Kawak
Kawak.
is
It translates as storm,
storm.
but I like to think of it as the storm that, like I said, that
Washes away, just what we had yesterday. Literally, the washing away of the old so that the new can be birthed.
Right.
I love that.
And or washing away all the things that were necessary but no longer serve and need to be removed.
Yeah.
So it can be extremely powerful, being the second to last of the 20 sun signs. It's extremely powerful. It's extremely feminine energy. And it's interesting, again, the way you have that very masculine energy in your childhood on your feminine side.
And then the feminine
the future is the very feminine on the masculine side. So there's that balance over the lifespan.
I see that.
The number 3 is the number of the internal world, the home place. It's where I was describing 11 as more of like a dynamic movement. This 3 to me represents that kind of directional movement, or the more ego-based, human idea of movement, where the 11 is just sort of like the way the divine moves through the space.
So 3 is more embodied, but through the mind?
Through the internals. It's the internal world. It's the internal conversation that you have.
Okay.
It can be a challenging number to carry because it can be thought of as the number of obstructions. Because being an internal number, it sometimes can be hard to have the reflections you're looking for externally. If it's an internal thing and you're trying to make an external move, it might not be what you want. So my teacher talks a lot about on 3 days, it's better to just kind of stay home, and do things, not try to make things happen in the world, because you might find there's just roadblocks everywhere.
And do you have I know there's an app and I may still have it on my phone. That can tell us what day we are in currently so we know oh, today's a 3 day, this is why I'm feeling this.
Yeah. There's a couple apps out there, and you got to be careful because, like tropical astrology versus True Sky, there's another version of the Zolkin called the Dream Spell.
That's what I have.
Totally different count.
Totally, yeah.
And it's just based on the dude that had a vision back in the 70s or something. Then he created this whole new idea of the calendar, and it's not following the actual count. It's just.
Is there one that follows the actual? Okay, so you'll share that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so connected to Kawak, 3 Kawak could be thought of as the internal storm, or the ability to thoroughly wash the home, if you think about it, or be able to bring that energy through you inside of you.
Mhm.
But it's on your physical side, so it potentially could be a good position for having it be a physical, real world kind of thing where you're not having so much obstructions, but it requires you to kind of be aligned with that internally first before you can bring it out.
Mhm.
What else about 3? In the Mayan creation story, our realm was birthed from the nebula that's in between the legs of Orion.
Mhm.
And there are 3 stars that make up a triangle around that. And I can't say the name of the 3 stars, but that's the idea of why it's the home place, because it's where this reality was birthed. On the In a lot of Mayan homes, you'll see a tortilla griddle on the hearth with 3 stones underneath it to represent that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And so now we'll talk about your elder energy,
Yeah.
which is where you're at now. At 42 and a half, you moved into that
The
one no.
seed.
Yeah,
and-
and one, as I mentioned, it's the seed, it's the all potential things. So it can be a number that can be frustrating because it's not necessarily a number of action. It's a
Mhm.
number of ideas. It's potential. It doesn't mean there won't be movement. It's just that it can be a time in your life when things seemingly are not moving as fast as you would want them to, and you've got this vision potentially, you've got the idea, but it needs time to develop.
Mhm.
However, it's connected with Noch. As I mentioned earlier, Noch is the intellectual genius.
What number? Oh, that's in the sun signs. Where does that one fall?
Noch is like the 16th or 17th. I think it's the 17th of the 20.
Okay.
It's the ego mind. It's the masculine mind in particular.
Mm.
So its place in the order of the sun signs, I think of it as the new ego coming in, the one that's going to be the aligned version
The
versus the
higher
malignant
mind.
ego.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the higher self. Yeah,
Yeah.
and one of the ways that my teacher talks about it that I love is if you got 10 different people and you say, see all those books on that bookshelf, you need to put them in this box. Everybody's going to do it differently. And, some people just put it in
Yeah.
the box, done. Other people are going to have their theories. The Noch energy is the representative of the person that goes, okay, let's see. I'm going to take all these books are about astrology. I'm going to set them in this one. We're going to put them in alphabetical order and by author, and it's all super crazy organized. But the benefit of that can be kind of like annoying to people potentially. So be careful about that. But the benefit of that is that when you go back to reference that information, it's very fast. You can get the information very fast. And so people who carry the Noch energy are often looked at as people that are sort of ahead of their time with their ideas. So you got to be patient with other people because they're not necessarily going to resonate
Well,
with
I
your
feel like that's where true sidereal sits right there then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's understanding something that isn't ready to be here yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then just being patient with that because that's that one.
Yeah.
And it's the potential, you think about a seed, it has everything that it needs. It just requires the environment to be right.
The sun and the water too.
Yeah.
Pressure and
Pressure and
darkness.
time.
And love.
And yeah. I mean, that makes sense because I told you that journey of sharing myself in that way was that a huge part of that, like having this like place to just speak it all out into the universe and not knowing what it just was helping me to make sense of categorizing everything. Not that I go back and look at those categorizing, but I just know I released it into the ether.
Well, and you wouldn't need to
Yeah, I
carrying that
wouldn't have to hold
energy.
it,
It's like
yeah.
you did all of that so that it's just
Right.
instant access for you now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then at 61, you'll move into 9 Khan. 9 is the number of all life. It's the number that is what's thought of that all life resonates with the number 9. It's also the number of the divine feminine. I think of it as the number of divine patience versus, again, like ego patience. The divine doesn't care about time because time is just a construct that we invented, as it were, to make sense of things.
Right.
But the way things unfold in this reality doesn't have anything to do with time from the perspective of the divine, let's say.
Right.
And so it requires a level of patience that's that's greater than the human ego can really embody.
An understanding at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I also like to think of the numbers as representative of a plant life cycle, where one's the seed, 10 is the number that represents manifestation and community, and it's, to me, it's the moment when the two little beginner leaves come out of the soil.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that happens for the plant and for us from 1 through 9 is under the surface or
Mhm.
in the subconscious or in the internal, and it's before anything happens outside or with other people. And so that's why it's like divine patience, because it's almost there,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
just gotta wait a little longer. Just
Okay.
give it time.
Interesting. Okay.
And Khan translates as serpent. It's the trade center we're in currently. It's the energy of power in all aspects. So power as it relates to teachers, power as it relates to sorcerers and illusionists. It's the Kundalini energy. In the Mayan language, the word is koyopa, which is analogous to chi or Kundalini, and it translates as the lightning and the blood. So when you get chills, that's the Koyopa energy. And the reason you're getting the chills at that moment is because there's something significant happening that your body is letting you know, hey, pay attention, that kind of thing. And so the Maya see that as the evidence of the divine moving through us when we feel that energy. Being that it is literally the energy of creation, that's why it's referred to as the energy, the sun sign of power, because it's incredibly powerful. It's super strong. It's one of the strongest sun signs. And it's therefore you got to be really aware and really careful, because any movement you make will be extremely powerful,
You felt
carrying that energy.
Yeah. Okay.
Combined with the number 9,
Right.
it's like the power of life or the power of the divine feminine. It's wisdom applied, and that's the opportunity to be the teacher. It's also why those who control the world can do what they do, because they are the master illusionists. They use that serpent energy.
Same energy. Yeah.
It is literally the serpent that
Yeah.
Rafiku's holds.
Yeah.
It's the answer
Mm-hmm.
and all the questions
Mhm.
combined, Yeah, that's coming in later. There
Okay.
you go.
It's interesting because, like, that the chart that you showed, that was like, it feels like, so where is that point between,
That's this line.
that's
that
that line?
9 con, yeah.
And right now I'm in this one and they meet there.
You're like,
I already know it's coming.
yeah,
Like I can feel that.
Yeah, because of how, and you think about it, like you started off high,
Mm-hmm.
you came down to the ultimate stability, and then you're moving into the lowest number. So that can potentially be like frustrating.
I mean, I don't feel that. I feel like it could, in the sense like, oh wait, I know all this knowledge and now I'm a baker.
Right.
Totally, but I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I need to feed people, of course.
And it represented, to me, that's so cool that it's representative of like you figured it out.
Yeah.
Like, I got to put my love into this food. Everybody needs food, like this is it.
It's literally the Trojan horse of the seed.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Makes total sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like it's coming down
Mhm.
through most of your life, but then it shoots back way up
Mhm.
towards the end, or potentially. And there is another line, because it just, it's infinite. It just keeps going. But most people don't live past
Right,
the
right,
four,
right,
so
right.
the graph ends at that point. But there's another one that starts right
around
here
there. Yeah.
and peaks at however old.
Right.
Yeah.
So cool.
And there are also graphs to represent your feminine
Oh, I
energies.
see. Okay.
And this one, it starts low, 13 is the highest, or actually that's 12, and then comes down. And it's a similar kind of pattern with 13, 12, and 13.
Yeah.
That's why the numbers are very similar for the ages,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, energetically they're pretty close.
Right. So cool.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's what I have to share with you.
That
That's your life path.
I mean, yeah, I feel like it's interesting to see a system. Well, I mean, it's a system able to like really dial it in and show you like through the archetypes, but through the sun signs, through the animals, through these energies, like what you're holding, like almost like what your DNA is, essentially, right? Because ultimately that's what this is. It's showing you, like, in a way, giving permission to know. Yeah.
I also like to look at just the patterns. You know, I'm a big pattern
Yeah.
person. You got your 4
Love it.
here, then it goes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3. You know, it's like there's
Mhm.
this
Like,
serpent like movement through the chart. And actually, in the terms of, you know, in the order that the days fall in the 260-day pattern,
uh-huh.
this is the first, this is the second, and then you'll notice this is 2 days later, 11 to 13.
Uh-huh.
And then it jumps up to the next Tricena, the 4, and then this is your actual day, and then 8, and then it jumps to 12, 1, and you know. So it's like
like
it's called the pathway.
representing,
It's called the pathway of the feathered serpent.
is it representing the death and rebirth kind of like through the whole process? Like, don't get too high because you are going to get right back down here and learn this part of yourself, and then you're going to move over here, and then it's like,
Yeah, it's not just up.
no,
There's a
yeah, a dance,
yeah,
like
cycle
a
through it.
lazy river dance.
As you said in your video, it's a spiral, not
Yeah.
a circle.
Oh yeah.
So, and then, you know, Emosh being all possible potentials, it's like you're then given the opportunity to offer something.
Mhm.
And that potentially is the genius idea that leads to the wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah.
Here you've got that guardian of the forest, the priest who can connect with the spirit of the nature aspect of spirit and get the message, therefore having the vision that leads to the new idea, that leads to the creative genius.
Mm.
And further down that journey on this side, you know, ultimately the creative genius leads to that full
Mhm.
birth process.
Almost like this one feels like, I mean, I've never had a pregnancy come to full term, but I imagine it as the water breaking.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I didn't mention this before, but it also is representative of tough love.
Oh God, I have that in spades in myself, and
Yeah.
people really don't love that about
Yeah.
me.
But, you know, the midwife is thought of, you know, as a very nurturing energy,
Yeah.
but sometimes it
Got
can
it.
get really hard and you don't want to continue pushing. And that's when she's just like, nope,
Yeah.
it's time,
Yeah.
push, you know, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So
That I think
it's
it's
done for
that for a lot
positive
of
purpose.
people, that is the point in our paths where it splits, because most people don't want to see that side of me, but if it comes up, it's coming up, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
why should you? The
Yeah.
next moment is that ascension.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's gonna always be hardest. They say, you know, to turn a phrase on Akabal, the night is darkest before the dawn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. Okay, in the Mayan calendar, in this process, is there anything that you've noticed that comes back to Ophiuchus or being born under Ophiuchus? And where do you see the patterns come through in this system?
definitely the 13 numbers, and the number 13 being that, to me, that is Ophiuchus,
Right.
you know. And as we were talking about, the serpent energy is you know, serpents are all over the Mayan temples. It's
Mhm.
you know, perhaps the most important symbol to them.
So like when you're doing a reading, if you see someone carrying a 13, let's say, in their cross, are you like, okay, they're holding Ophiuchus energy? Can you like pull it down like that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't really done that, but
Mm.
part of, you know, being able to study multiple different systems is you can see how they all do align once you get the right understanding of it. Because you can't really make Mayan astrology connect with tropical astrology because there's 12 instead of 13.
Right,
It
right,
sort of
right.
just doesn't line up
Right,
very
right,
well.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, having the awareness of the Ophiuchus perspective like helps me, I feel like, understand the Mayan perspective better.
There's also this pattern that comes through all the time for me, is the 144. Has that come into your experience? And do you,
I've definitely come across it, you know, the 144,000 and all that,
right?
and just how it plays into sacred geometry
Yeah.
and the I don't know if it's a phi ratio thing or a Fibonacci thing, but
It's not Fibonacci. It's like this, it's like, okay, do you know the gene keys? I'm gonna send you something about the 44th gene key, but it kind of sums it up. So it's like a 15-minute recording I'll send to you. But essentially, it's understanding that we are here to create something that is a new experience. And there are energies. I don't know if it really is people, because I feel like that's a human way of understanding it, but it's an energy of understanding. Like, I would call that, like, you are from the throne room, the peacock den, the knowing, the Christ energy, the to me, it looks like when I look at these palm or pine trees, I see eyes. It's
Mm.
eyes. It's everywhere. It's knowing that each bit of life is an eye that's witnessing this experience and us playing this game and this experience. Like to me, it's like that seed.
I like that.
So when I see 144, which is everywhere in my life, it's just the sign of knowing.
Mm.
Yeah, I see you.
I like that.
So
Kind of like
yeah,
bringing you back into the present.
and bringing it outside of I'm special, more special than anyone, because how many can see that? Like I think it's very few. But I see people with peacocks, and I'm like, oh, they get it. But then I go into conversation and they don't get it. But they
Right.
just are
Not
attracted
for
to
them.
peacock.
Right. They don't know it, maybe.
But they are, but they don't know it,
Right.
right? Because not like to go from someone that collects dragon things to understanding what dragon energy is. It's a whole leap and a whole journey that takes time,
Right.
right? But and like some people are maybe younger souls that aren't sure why they're drawn to that, but they just know they are.
Mm.
And to me, when you understand it, it's the 144. It's like saying like, no, I'm fully awake in this reality, and I know, and I see all. I'm like clocking all aspects,
Mm.
like
like
that
that.
feeling.
It's cool.
And I feel like the 13 is that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, what patterns come up when you kind of tap into that knowing and do readings for people that you can see their birthday, if they're in that Ophiuchus energy.
Mm.
And then it gets even more deep because like when I would do readings through 13 sign true sidereal, I could see through the different planets maybe they have in Ophiuchus. It's not just the sun sign, which for us it is. Well, mine would be the sun, Neptune, and Mercury all in that energy, so it's a lot. But some would have like Saturn or it's everything, can be anything.
Right.
And then some would have the complete opposite energy, which would be in Gemini, and playing that duality against it. And it's like you can kind of like just extrapolate and see like, is this person, like, I'm going to give a specific example. I have a friend that her Saturn was in Ophiuchus, which I didn't know at the time what that was going to mean for my relationship with her, but ultimately she became one of my biggest activators and persons that really helped me get really fortified in my tough love.
Mm.
And it had to be like a full breakdown of that relationship and a decay of it to know who I am more, so that I can be on Main Street and be so centered in who I am that it doesn't matter who comes up, that feeling. So ultimately it's a gift, right?
That's what we were saying earlier, is that our biggest traumas and our biggest challenges ultimately it can be our biggest gifts if we can turn it around and transmute it.
Right. Yeah. I love this.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
I feel like a whole new not new, but obviously ancient, knowing dropped in. And, I'm gonna have to sit and feel into it, and like it'll be a part of my journey for sure now.
That's why we recorded it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot, I know.
It's a lot, but it's like, the mysteries. It's like, okay, obviously I'm ready for this part of the journey. And I look around and I see like two people I care about so much being at this table with us.
Not a
And
coincidence.
no.